The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my circuit!
Everybody loves Hypnotoad.
Scary dog!
Blurson at Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, Alexis Hejna, and tonight we are once again going a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, because this is the franchise that just will not die. No matter how many times it is crashed and burned, it is resurrected constantly. It will not die. We are talking Ahsoka. This is the latest series from Disney Plus, part of the Star Wars saga. And joining me tonight, you saw us last week discussing anime and One Piece. Welcome back, David Wright.
Yeah, that disclaimer is very funny to watch when it's just the two of us. We sound so
I know,
controversial. Right? Yeah, there's a lot of disappointed people watching the show now. I feel like I could swear or something.
It's not my fault Mark hires a bunch of weirdos to work this network and we need to cover all our asses.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, so those who are not familiar with the fandom, Ahsoka Tano was created for the animated Star Wars Clone Wars series as Anakin Skywalker's Padawan. She was a talented Jedi apprentice until she got framed for the destruction of the Jedi Temple, and all the other Jedi said, yep, screw her, let's get rid of her. They found out she didn't do it, and she said, well, you know what, you Yahoo should have stuck by me anyway, I'm out. In the shortest way possible. She since made cameo appearances. We saw her a lot in the Star Wars Rebel series, which, interestingly, I think a lot of people would actually consider this show more Star Wars Rebel Season 5 than its own separate entity. More on that later. But she is back. She is played by Rosario Dawson, who we had previously seen play the role in a couple of episodes of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. Still remember the fandom just going absolutely apeshit over the idea of Anakin Skywalker's son meeting Anakin Skywalker's apprentice. I mean, you want to see these two sit down and just talk. You know, that you want to hear them share stories more than anything. So yes, this is the latest series written by Dave Filoni, who has quickly proven that he knows a hell of a lot more than Kathleen Kennedy on how to maintain a franchise. This follows Ahsoka. She is concerned about a new threat to the galaxy, specifically the return of Grand Admiral Thrawn. Thrawn's an interesting character because he was previously made in extended universe books, comics, and the like. Then, of course, when the mouse came and absorbed everything from this galaxy, they said, nope, that stuff's no longer canon. But Thrawn was just so fascinating that the execs at Lucasfilm said, you know what? Let's bring him back in. Let's bring in Thrawn and let's see what we can do with him. So we have Ahsoka and several members of the former Star Wars Rebel series going out into a very, very far away galaxy, not only to stop Thrawn from returning, but also to find exiled Jedi Ezra Bridger, who had previously in Star Wars Rebels disappeared with Thrawn in an attempt to make sure that Thrawn could not hurt anyone anymore. And admittedly, this show has been highly rated. It got great reviews, but I'm just going to say it. I think it's a little lacking in the focus department.
Yeah, this one I'm kind of lukewarm on. I'm afraid. Like I don't hate it like some elements of the internet do, but I also can't really say, wow, it was awesome either. So it's the worst thing to ever have to review from a reviewing perspective.
I had to review the live action Pinocchio. That still takes the crown of the worst thing I've ever had to
Yeah,
No correction. That and that jujitsu movie that Mark had me review with Nicolas Cage, which I'm convinced they just blew a bunch of cocaine in his face and said action.
I think that's pretty much all the good Nicolas Cage movies.
Wouldn't surprise me. All right. So, David, I know obviously you're a Star Wars fan. Your background kind of gives it away.
Yeah, yeah. Which right there. Yeah. There's the sort of Star Wars shelf there.
Mm-hmm. But go ahead and tell me, how well do you know Ahsoka from the Clone Wars, and how well did you know Star Wars Rebels before going into the series?
Not too much. I mean, I saw some clips on YouTube because the algorithm provided clips on YouTube, like Darth Maul fighting Obi-Wan on Tatooine, and Ahsoka, yeah, her scenes, fighting Vader and that kind of stuff. But yeah, like I never really got into the Clone Wars. I think that was probably like peak like prequel hatred era when when George Lucas decided that he would do an animated Clone Wars movie in the style of Gendry Tartakovsky, just in 3D, which I still don't think works very good. I mean, perfect respect to Gendry Tartakovsky, the man is a legend, but
absolutely.
But those designs were made for 2D, not 3D, in my humble opinion.
Admittedly, I was also a little hard to get into Clone Wars because I did start watching the Gendy Tartakovsky miniseries. We talked about this last week, so
Yeah.
if you watched our review on One Piece, you're going to hear us do a lot of repeats. Sorry, guys, but I watched the Gendy Tartakovsky miniseries that came out. This was a 2D, essentially a webisode. Wow, how freaking old are we that we can
Yeah, that
actually
is
say
dated
that the
now.
word webisode was legit once upon a time?
Yeah, so they're just shorts that were released like directly to the internet for all you
Yeah.
youngins.
Yeah, back in our day, we called them webisode. Oh my god, I feel so old.
Think of them as like long TikToks, but not as long TikToks as like regular like TV shows and movies.
Unfortunately, you're 100% right. Anyways, these were a big hit. A lot of people really liked it. It was also kind of fun because it was the introduction of General Grievous. We got to see the knighting ceremony of Anakin and from Padawan to Knight. We got to see a lot of behind the scenes of. We got to see some really great action scenes with various other Jedi. My personal favorite will always be the Kit Fisto underwater fight scene. I mean, getting to see a lightsaber underwater is so cool. But so after that came out, we had the animated Clone Wars movie. This was a prequel to start off the animated series.
Yeah.
And admittedly, the movie was not that good.
No, again, this is like peak prequel hate.
Yeah. This was when Ahsoka was also introduced. So, as great as the character she was, the movie I don't think was the best introduction for her.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I really didn't like the movie. I just thought it's like you're sending Anakin and this admittedly kind of annoying she was a young Padawan. She was very
my understanding was that was the idea of the character. She was supposed to be annoying and naive and overconfident and brash at the start, and then as the show went on, she would kind of get knocked around a bit by the war and grow and mature as a character until she gets to Rosario Dawson and is like a Jedi master in her own right.
Yeah, but when you're introduced to the character like this in a movie and you're expected to like her right away, it's like, gonna have to get back to you on that. Especially
I don't think she was very well liked at the start, but again, as she grew, the fans started to like her.
Absolutely. Ahsoka quickly became a major fan favorite to the point that Ashley Eckstein? Ashley, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name.
Right,
The voice
Eckstein, if it's spelled Stien, it's like Albert Einstein, right?
Exactly. The voice actress for Ahsoka
Yeah.
is a favorite amongst the Comic-Con circuit. She gets a lot of people coming in trying to get her autograph. They absolutely love her. And again, when they announced they were bringing this character in to show up in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, the fans went nuts. We were so excited to see it. And Rosario Dawson is an excellent choice to play this role all grown up. She is she really does a great job with it. She has the cool, calm collect of a woman who has seen so much, has gone through so much hell through war and battle, and has essentially just said, you know what, I'm going off and I'm going to do my own thing. You really she gives this sage guru feel about her. And I love that that's the way this character has evolved.
Yeah, like I heard a lot of like one of the big criticisms I've heard online for the show is like just how stoic Ahsoka is, like unemotive. And then I'd say, like, have you seen the prequel trilogy and any Jedi in it? Like, Ewan McGregor deserves a special Oscar for playing a Jedi in the prequel trilogy and still managing to inject some personality into it. Like,
Absolutely.
So I look at that criticism like, this isn't a bug, it's a feature. Like, she is an old Republic Jedi, trained and mature in the Force that way, and that's just how they act. They tend to be a bit more disconnected, come off as a bit aloof, but that's just kind of how George Lucas wanted that era's Jedi to be. So I don't mind her having those qualities, but in the sort of post Galactic Civil War era, like it's kind of a bit of the old mixing with the new.
Yeah, it's very similar to how Sir Alec Guinness played Obi-Wan in the original movie. You see a lot of parallels between those two characters and two ways they present their the characters present their character. Welcome to the Redundancy Department of Redundancy.
Yes.
All right. So yes. So again, we have Ahsoka, who thinks there may be a chance to find Ezra, but of course that also comes with the fact that if they find Ezra, chances are pretty good they're going to find Thrawn. Adding to this is a witch of some kind, because there are witches in Star Wars. It is confirmed.
This is why I wish we had an Andrew here to explain to us where these witches came from, because I don't know the backstory either. Apparently it's some subset of the Force where they call them witches instead.
We were supposed to have two Andrews on the show tonight, folks. Mr. Andrew Graham and Mr. Andrew Orozco. Both sadly had to drop at the last minute due to family issues. Totally get it. I get that. No big deal. But unfortunately, because of that, David and I are both Star Wars fans, but we are not diehard, know the lore Star Wars fans.
We're semi-winging it.
Yeah, so we did a little research going into this, but we're probably going to miss a lot of key points on the backstories of some of these characters. So if we say something and it's like, well, we don't know why the heck we did this, for the love of God, do not barrage us in the comments going, well, it's because of this and because of this and because of this, because we're not going to we're not turning this into a repeat of the Harry Potter reviews, okay? That was the time I got brought in basically to say, well, in the book, we're not doing that. Okay. So yes, we have a witch. We have two, not Siths, but a fallen Jedi played brilliantly by Ray Stevenson in his final role and his apprentice.
One of the best roles in the show. Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Ray Stevenson was such a great. I feel bad that so many people are like, wait, wasn't that the fat guy from Thor? And it's like, yes, he was, but he was so good in so many other things.
Rome.
He was
Titus
great.
Polo for life.
My favorite bit that he did, and it's so weird, was in one of the later seasons of Dexter. He played, I think it was like a Russian mob boss.
Yeah.
Who goes in to go after Dexter because Dexter unwillingly killed. Well, Dexter, of course, is a serial killer who killed one of his men, and we find out it was his lover. And there's this great scene of Dexter and Stevenson's character sitting at a bar talking about what they do, and just sort of coming to this understanding of where they are in the world. And Stevenson's character, it's cliche, but he's like, it's funny. I think in another life we could have been friends. But the way they present and the way the two characters play off each other, such a good scene. I loved it.
Yeah, definitely great actor. Shame he's no longer with us. But he had a good final performance. Definitely.
As Balin's skull,
and I bet he enjoyed it too.
Oh, absolutely. And we will be talking more about Stevenson and his character when we go through more of this, because we are going to talk about the idea of recasting. But we got a lot more to get through to that. So yes, we have Balin's skull and his apprentice. Like I said, they're not Siths so much. They're more dark Jedi. It's like the Sith is not a thing anymore. But he was a Jedi who was trained. He left the temple before it fell. And he has just decided, I'm not a member of the Jedi anymore. I'm evil. And he's got the red lightsaber to prove it.
Well, it's more like he's I got it was more like they're not really affiliated with Jedi or Sith. Like that was kind of one aspect of Force Awakens that I actually, oh, not sorry, Force Awakens, Last Jedi that I really liked is like there's no light or dark side to the Force. It's just the Force. All that Jedi Sith stuff is just stuff a bunch of people created to moralize. But
Mhm.
I digress. But yeah, he's not affiliated with the Jedi. He's not affiliated with the Sith. He's just like he's a mercenary that happens to be a Force user, and he was trained
Mhm.
as a Jedi in the past. So he's not out there to do evil. It's just I've got my thing to do, and I've got bills to pay, and I have a unique set of skills. Like I can move things with my mind and use a laser sword. So that's what I'm going to do.
Exactly. And coming along, we have live action versions of several members of the Star Wars Rebel scene. First and foremost, we have Sabine Wren, a Mandalorian warrior and a graffiti artist, former bounty hunter, Imperial Academy dropout, and Ahsoka's former apprentice who knows how to use a lightsaber but really doesn't know what she's doing with the Force. We also have Hera Syndulla, ironically played by Ewan McGregor's wife, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I always forget that they're married now. It's like, man, Obi-Wan Kenobi hooked up with Ramona Flowers.
Okay, then. Good for them.
It's the actress who played Ramona Flowers. So yeah, we got Hera back. We have her son, Jason, her partner, husband, lover, I don't know what you want to call it, was killed during the Star Wars Rebels series. We got the return of Chopper.
Yep,
Everyone's
the psychopathic astromech droid.
Yeah, the astro droid who's got almost as much personality as R2D2. Almost.
Well, his head has one extra point of articulation, so.
It's funny. When I was working the Cincinnati Comic Expo, someone had a remote control chopper running down through the aisles. But when you listen to him at the opposite end, and you just kind of hear the echo, it sounds like a chicken. Because he has like a bark, 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 like a kind of.
Yeah.
It's not like the beep 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 of R2. It's like a bark 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 like that. And when it echoes, it really sounds like a giant chicken. So for a long time, I didn't realize it was him. I was like, okay, fine. Who the hell is cosplaying as a giant chicken?
Yeah.
I wanted to know if that was going on there. So we got that. We got the return of Mon Mothma, who I'm determined to say her character's name right, because when we reviewed Andor, I massacred it several times, and you guys would not let that go. I fully admit. And we have the return of Huyang, a lightsaber crafting droid, once again voiced by everyone's favorite Dr. David Tennant. Come at me, I stand by that.
Yeah, your second David Tennant this week. Regular.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys reviewed Good Omens this week, didn't you?
Yeah. So there's now 100% more David Tennant this week.
As there should be. The world needs more David Tennant, and it needs more Alan Tudyk.
Yeah. That would I can't argue with that statement.
We got a cameo from C-3PO, of course, which was a lot of fun to see Anthony Daniels come back.
I mean, he'll show up to the opening of a paper bag.
Very true, but still, hearing that prissy voice and seeing the gold flash in the background, realizing, wait, is that? We all literally went, wait, is that 3PO? It was just kind of fun to see the character come back.
I would have done the scene with R2D2. Just beep beep whistle whistle beep 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 whistle. It's like, oh, you have a message from General Leia. Beep whistle 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 beep. Just
but hearing
that whole scene.
Yeah, but hearing 3PO basically say identification, I don't need no identification. I mean, come on, how do you beat that?
Yeah, well, I mean, as we keep learning, New Republic security is atrocious.
Pretty much, as we have an episode where we find out that several members of what I believe we have called Operation Paperclip are still loyal to the Empire and have been building a freaking hyperdrive for Morgan Elsbeth, the imperialist witch, there is no other way to call it, to get to another freaking galaxy. So, but let's go ahead.
And we're also consistent with the New Republic being absolutely terrible at prisoner transport.
Well, we got that with the last season of The Mandalorian. How the hell do you lose Moff freaking Gideon?
Yeah, and the first season of Mandalorian as well.
Very true.
Yeah. Just New Republic, they are not good at transporting prisoners. It's just You think they would have learned by now, but nope.
Nope, absolutely not. All right. So yes, we have our characters who are trying to get to throne. I'm just gonna go and say this, and I'm gonna toss it to you again. I feel like the
Mhm.
show was a little unfocused. We have the buildup of
Mhm.
what happens if Thrawn comes out of exile, and I was getting kind of almost Lord of the Ring vibes
Mhm.
out of it. It's very similar to the discussions that they have about the ring getting back to Sauron. And it's like,
Mhm.
do you know what will happen if Sauron returns to power? And you feel that fear. You just feel that
Yeah.
dread amongst everyone talking about it. And you get kind of the same thing. But then when Thrawn actually does come back and he does make his escape, it's just like, well, I was expecting more of a dun 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 or something like
Yeah.
that. So, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, like I've read the Heir to the Empire books where Thrawn was introduced, and he's shown up in various video games, and yeah, they brought him in as into the Rebels series, and I think there's a few new novels about him, but yeah, he's a popular fan favorite character. Yeah, like the best way I could describe his appeal, he's just someone who's incredibly competent.
Hmm.
Like this is someone who's like read the things I would do if I were an evil overlord and follows them.
He has an incredible focus of understanding a character and predicting what they'll do.
Yeah.
You watch those shows like Criminal Minds where they
Mhm.
discuss, analyzing the villain's mind and
Yeah.
figuring out this is what Thrawn excels in. He's able to predict what Ahsoka will do because he knows that she is the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker and he knows how she's going to react.
Yeah, he's very cold and calculating. He's good at anticipating, like different scenarios. Like the bit where they tell him that Ahsoka Tano is dead. He's like, "Well, did you see the body?" He's like, "No." Well, then let's assume she's alive and prepare accordingly. Like
Hmm.
that is a very Thrawn thing to do. Is he's the kind of person where if my trusted lieutenant comes to me with bad news, I won't say no, that's impossible and kill them. I will believe what they say. After all, they are my trusted lieutenant. Uh,
Hmm.
so he's very competent in that way, and yeah, he's good at sort of analyzing cultures and civilizations. Like they don't show it in this show, but he's a huge art nerd. Like he collects art from various cultures, and he sort of has this whole you understand a people by understanding their art, and sort of
Hmm.
through that analysis he's able to understand well, my opponents are this species or this culture, so they're going to react this way if I do this, and use that to his advantage. And yeah, he's just very, very smart in how he conducts himself and very sort of realistic in his expectations. Like if the battle doesn't go his way, he's not going to choke out who's ever in command just for not getting the desired outcome. He'll be like, "Oh, you like in Empire, for example, he would be like, "Oh, you lost the Millennium Falcon in the asteroid field. Well, it's very difficult to get around asteroid fields, and Han Solo is a accomplished and experienced smuggler piloting a very fast ship. So, you've done the best you could. By the way, you might want to scan the hull of the Star Destroyer to see if they've latched onto it, because that's a common smuggler's trick I've heard about." Like that would be how Thrawn would deal with that situation. Now, that being said, if you do screw up through incompetence, he will shoot you as an example to
Hmm.
the crew. Like, he's not a merciful commander, but he is a fair commander. And he's just, yeah, this absolute force of, he's got that thing where this is a commander whose troops would unquestionably follow him anywhere, do anything for him, because he's just, he's making the smart decisions. And if you're ordered to do something dangerous, it's with good reason, as opposed to Vader, who's more just run in and shoot everything and smash things up and show everyone who means business. Like I kind of like in Vader's like the sledgehammer of the Empire. Thrawn is more of a scalpel. Um,
Oh, that's a good analogy. I
thank you.
like that.
Yeah. So yeah. So the
But
idea.
you're
Yeah.
you're 100% right. I mean, we have a
Yeah.
scene in the end where they send a bunch of troops to go fight Ahsoka, Bridger, and Ren, and the troops all get decimated. To which Elsbeth goes like, "Well, we just lost. We just got our ass kicked. Why aren't you upset?" And he goes, "Because we just got everything else loaded into the cargo hold while they were distracted. In a way, we won."
Yeah. Yeah. The objective was not to kill them. I mean, if we could, yes, great. But the main thing was to slow them down, which you didn't need to do because, good God, that caravan. But I'll more on that later.
Mhm.
But yeah, so yeah, his idea is like, we've accomplished our goal. There's no need for me to leave my forces in the field to risk further for their losses, so we'll pull back, and we've accomplished what we needed to accomplish. And if you read the books, it's very much like that. It's like, well, yeah, we lost this battle, but we also achieved this objective, which in the future can be used as something beneficial to us. So it's sort of, even when he's lost, he kind of is good at spinning victory from defeat. So yeah, just like a really refreshing take on villains overall. So yeah, you could see how the idea of Thrawn being the person who has sort of the clout and the authority to unite all the various factions of the Shattered Empire into a cohesive fighting force under basically a strategic genius. Like that is something to be afraid of. Now, they don't do a great job setting that up unless you already know the lore of what a Grand Admiral is and have seen Thrawn before. So, like one of the things Lord of the Rings did was they showed you Sauron at the height of his power before, Isildur, defeats him. And so you have a taste of like, okay, yeah, this guy is bad news. We don't want him coming back.
That actually segues very nicely into a topic that I really wanted to discuss with tonight. I sent you an article from IGN talking about this. And that is, has the lore become too important? Now, I'm not arguing against fan service. Like I said, we got a freaking cameo from 3PO, and it's like, and there was much rejoicing. Yay. But this show relies very much on, you needed to have watched Star Wars Rebels and most of, if not all of, Clone Wars. Now, I did not watch the series. Don't hate me. Don't hate me, people. I'm sorry.
I have not sat down and watched either Clone Wars or Rebels, so yeah, I don't have that level of knowledge. Just like I say,
yeah. Whenever I confess
reviews.
this to people, they just stare at me like I just admitted I don't like Freddy Krueger for a horror icon. It's like, I'm sorry.
I have seen none of the iconic horror movies. I respect them, but not a horror guy. So yeah.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah. This is your month. Have fun.
Hey, we're in a shirt with monsters on it.
Oh yeah, the cereal monsters.
Yeah, doing the monster mash.
Oh, that's even more monstery. So meta.
Very meta. But again, this is something we've talked a lot about on the show as we continue to review movies and shows and comic books and stuff that continue on these sagas, these connected universes. And I remember when we discussed Multiverse of Madness, and one of the things we pointed out was that if you haven't seen WandaVision, you're not going to understand heads or tails of what's going on with the Scarlet Witch. Now, we all had seen WandaVision, so we got it, but we all stood by the argument, you shouldn't have to do homework to know this kind of stuff. And unfortunately...
Now, granted, like a quick Google will answer most questions, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for the record, there's at least a dozen recap / retrospective videos on Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars. There's actually multiple websites with these lists, and I do recommend this because there are so many filler episodes of Clone Wars that if you want to watch it and you're a little limited on time, or you just don't want to deal with filler as most of us do, find these websites because they will actually say, okay, watch this episode, skip these 3, then watch these 3, then skip these 2, and they will give you the list of which ones to watch.
Yeah.
But again, is this a problem with something as great as Star Wars? Star Wars is one of the biggest sagas, one of the biggest fandoms in the entertainment industry. Whether you have seen the original movies, the prequels, the sequel trilogy, any of the series, anything at all, everyone on the planet knows something about Star Wars. But this series was not advertised really as connecting to Star Wars Rebels than the animated series. This was advertised heavily as connecting to Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, these live action series. Has Star Wars gotten to the point that, the lore has become too big? Is this a problem? Go forward. I mean, are we now forced to do homework before we try to catch up with something with one of the Skywalkers, with anyone wielding a damn lightsaber?
I'm not sure it's quite gotten to that point, but it is in some ways. Like the nice thing about the original Star Wars films is like the themes were so universal that it was pretty easy to follow. Like, Empire, Rebels, Force, like that you could I could explain to you what you would need to know about the original trilogy in very little time. I don't think it's nearly as bad as Marvel, where like they have this sort of dense set of events that keep on happening that you do need to go into. Like, I think a big question this year will be like with the Marvels is how well that'll do, because you need to see Miss Marvel, you need to see WandaVision, you need to see Secret Invasion, in addition to any of the founding stuff in the movies, to sort of understand, like, okay, who are these people, where did they come from? And like, I'm not going to make a prediction. I don't know if it's going to do well or not, but it does seem to be one of the more like if you haven't been following along with all the Disney Plus stuff, you're going to be a bit lost. But yeah, I think with Ahsoka, it's a bit more like, how much do you know of Clone Wars? How much do you know of Rebels? And like, I think you can kind of fill in the pieces. Like most of the shows that I've really gotten into in my life, I started watching almost in the middle and just sort of figuring out, as I went, what was going on through the context and characters.
Your wife didn't say, well, we have to start over at the beginning.
Oh, geez, I'm going to get in so much trouble for.
You started the running joke, man. It's all
I
you.
I didn't intend for that to be a running joke. That was a one-off, but okay. She's probably never going to listen to the podcast anyway. So,
like any of us, like any of our spouses listen to this show.
Yeah. But where was I?
Starting from the middle.
So you like, I think most people, give them some credit, they can probably figure things out as they go. Like my wife, she didn't watch any of the Rebels or Clone Wars either, and I think she was able to follow along mostly. I mean, she was a bit more like, who's this Ezra guy? Like, why is he important? A bit of that. But other than that, I think you could kind of just understand, like, okay, Hera's a general doing general things, and Sabine's someone that she knew in the past, and Ahsoka's Anakin's Padawan, and Sabine was Ahsoka's Padawan, and it didn't work out. There are things like I didn't know like where Hu Yang came from, but it's like, okay, he's a Jedi droid, and Ahsoka has acquired a Jedi ship. By the way, Hu Yang, best character of the show.
Oh, absolutely. We need more of that dry wit. I loved it.
Yeah, the dry wit.
Good. They're reunited. Hopefully, I'll live long enough to appreciate it.
Yeah, just like, he seemed to be like a very level-headed character. Like called things as they were, tried to help out. Made good decisions. David Tennant, just great.
Oh yeah.
Great voice. Like I just like when Sabine's sparring with him and Ahsoka says, how's she doing? She's like, not bad. And then there was like, but not great. And it's like, oh, that's mean. It's like, why? I'm just saying exactly what's happened.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, it's the dry wit. It's like, I'm not trying to be rude or impolite. I am simply stating the facts. And the facts are, you suck.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, I agree. Hu Yang was. I also appreciate that we get a droid with a little more puppetry. We do have a couple of CGI scenes with him, but it is really nice to see some puppetry with holding the top part of the droid. I've mentioned this before that I get really upset when Star Wars tends to focus too much on CGI. So I like seeing them trying different things to make kind of fool the illusion, fool our eyes, give more to the illusion.
Yeah. I think one of the problems I've heard with CG is there's a tendency to put too much movement into the characters. Whereas if you actually have a CG character but you animate them to move like a puppet, people like that a whole lot better. Like an example is in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, like Davy Jones, which was an entirely CG character, but instead of a hook, he has like a crab claw. And they actually animated the crab claw like it had just like one point of articulation in it, like it was a prosthetic, and it looked so much better than if it was like all flipping and moving around. Because look at us, we've got CG. Look at everything we can do. So there's CGI I don't think is a terrible thing, but yeah, you need to know how to use it and also when to hold back, because oftentimes it looks better the less you do.
Exactly. Remember, folks, we were this close to getting a fully CGI Grogu in The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God we didn't.
Yeah.
I think we all agree that would have looked terrible. So, okay, so moving on.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. I do want to talk about some of the more positive elements, but first, let's go ahead and get this out. I really am disappointed with what they did with Sabine. Sabine
Yeah.
Wren was one of the most popular characters from Rebels. She's a very popular cosplayer. I have 3 friends who have all not only made cosplays of Sabine, they have handmade her armor from scratch, and it looks great. And 2 of them did dye their hair. Yeah, and 2 of them actually did dye their hair to match it. Well, for the first season, Sabine changes her hair faster than I do. But I don't know what they did with the character in this. She is just unbearable. Or it's just like, I don't know what the heck they did with it. And I'm not just talking about the fact that she completely sells out the galaxy to find Ezra. I'm not even talking about that. She is just annoying. She's annoying. She's rude. And I don't know what they did.
Yeah, well, I'm going to court some controversy with some of these statements probably, but buckle in. Like I'm trying to get something nice across here. One thing is, I think the actor seemed to be a bit old for the character as she was written. Like she acts like a teenager.
It was Natasha Liu Bordizzo, if I'm pronouncing it right. Bordizzo? I'm not sure.
You're doing as good a job as I could, so I can't help you there. Sorry, but yeah, like she like Sabine is written like a teenager. Young, impetuous, rebellious. A bit self-centered, but the actress looks more adult. And it's just like you'd think she would have especially her character, like having been through the rebellion, you'd think that she would we have a more mature Ahsoka. You think we would have a bit more of a mature Sabine. I'm not overly familiar with the character in Rebels, sorry, so I can't compare her to that. The other issue I would probably put with Sabine, and this is something that I notice in quite a few shows now. I'm going to use a quote from As Good as It Gets, a movie with Jack Nicholson playing like an autistic author, I believe. And
great movie.
Great movie. Yeah. You're going to hate me. Yes, the internet's going to hate me for saying this line, but there's a scene where he's being interviewed, and the interviewer says, like, many people have said you're so great at writing women characters. What's your secret? And he goes, I think of a man, and then I take away reason and accountability.
I remember that line.
Yeah.
They use that in the trailers.
Yeah. And then like, it's like one of those, like, who would say that? But it's funny because, of how offensive it is.
Insanely.
And I'm not talking specifically about female characters here, but plots where you have characters that act without reason or accountability. Where like Sabine just makes all these rash emotional choices without any thoughts as to the long-term consequences. And she never has to confront her actions. Whereas, again, I'm not too familiar with the Clone Wars series, but there is like an episode, I believe, where like Ahsoka charges into battle and gets her entire squad killed, and Anakin shoots her out. It's like, you were not thinking of the bigger picture. You were just thinking about your glory, your reputation, and you got all these clones killed. And yes, they're clones, but they're still people. And that's on you.
We'll be talking about that when we discuss a couple of episodes later, because there are a few really good things I want to talk about. But like I said, I wanted to discuss this whole thing with Sabine first.
But this isn't just a Sabine thing. This is, again, I've seen this sort of, and again, it's not just a girl thing. It's just, these plots where characters act in really dumb ways, and they are never held accountable for that. It's just the script says, oh yeah, what you did was okay. And for me, it really takes me out of the shows, because it's like, who acts like this? Or like, nobody would be in their position. Like the beginning of like the first episode where they're transporting what's her face, the Morgan on the transport. A shuttle is approaching. They're sending out they're claiming to be Jedi. It's like, oh, I'll call their bluff. To send them into the hangar. It's like, you have a big ship. We are told this is one of the most newest advanced ships in the Republic fleet. It even has an escort fleet. raise shields, lock weapons, send out a squadron of X-Wings to intercept them.
Mhm.
You know, like this is something even a new captain would do. This would be something that like the ensign who has to take command because every other command person on the bridge has been killed in battle would
Yeah.
know how to do.
Yeah,
Like, this is
common
just
sense, people.
common sense. Yeah. And also, if you're dealing with Jedi and they might be up to no good, you know, they are very good at close range combat.
Mhm.
You know, don't bring them into your ship. But there's like no one has ever like, man, that guy was really dumb. So that kind of thing. Or like you have like Sabine goes off to find Ezra because Thrawn's let her go. And she finds Ezra, you know, despite all odds. I mean, okay, that's, you know, Star Wars logic, fine. They're on the whole planet and she just happens to bump
And
into
yet
them.
the two of them act like former college roommates.
Yeah,
I
like
was
this is, you risked the future of the galaxy's piece of the galaxy to find your ex-boyfriend. And it's
and
just
there,
like, hey,
there was a
how's it going?
romantic thing between them on
Yeah.
the series. It was never like stated outright, but there was there was a romance between them.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah, I was like, okay, at the very last episode, the way Hera reacts
Mhm.
when Ezra shows up and takes off the helmet, and she's just like whining, like she's having trouble breathing. She's just like, "Oh my god!" Oh yeah, that's the way you
Yeah.
react after seeing
Yeah.
someone who you
Even
thought was
Ahsoka.
dead.
Even Ahsoka was like, you know, bring it in, like, you know, hugs. You know, the celibate, emotionless Jedi was, you know, showed more warmth and physical affection for him than Sabine did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh my god, that scene drove me nuts. I'm like,
Yeah.
all this buildup again. If you've followed anything about Star Wars Rebels, you know how much the buildup was about, is Ezra still alive?
Mhm.
There has been fan theories. There's been all this talk. There's been all this artwork. They have sprinkled hints of that in various other parts of it. I believe there's a scene in Obi-Wan where they talk about Ezra and his master when they're in the refuge.
Maybe it's been a while since I've seen Obi-Wan, but
Yeah, because they were talking about, it's like, oh, that person's been there, and I think that they were talking about those two.
quite possibly.
I can't remember if they were talking about Ezra or his master, who again, that character was killed off. But
Yeah.
this has been something sprinkled throughout the other series. This has been a big deal to Star Wars fans, and the way they react when seeing each other, I'm like, no tears, no exception, like
Yeah.
like that. It's like, that's the way you're gonna.
It's almost like
have it?
cool 90s kid.
Mhm.
Imagine like, you know, hey, sup? You know, like I'm really emotional, but I'm gonna play it cool because I'm cool because, you know, I've got attitude or something like that. It just felt kind of weird, and yeah, like you'd think this would be your emotional core, like they would run up and embrace, and I missed you so much, and you know,
Yeah,
so much
tears
excitement, tears,
and-
like
yeah.
but no, it's just, hey, how's it going? Oh, yeah, it took you long enough to get here. It's like, yeah, was busy with some things, and what gets me all about that, one of my biggest beefs is they know that in 3 days Thrawn is leaving,
Mhm.
and this is their only ticket out of there other than the space whales.
And they can't guarantee the space whales will go back to where
Yeah,
they
and you're sort of dependent on the migrational
Mhm.
thing of the space whales. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole here.
Oh,
but,
we are not, as I like to call it. Wow, Dave Filoni likes Star Trek 4. Good to know.
Well, I've seen worse explanations for like animals and interstellar travel discovery. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, so
we're not talking about the Purgill. We're not going into that.
yeah. No tardigrades on this podcast.
Mm-mm.
Yep. Moving on. So they know they have 3 days to get back, and based that Thrawn's just sent out assassins to kill them, it's probably not going to just let them in without any issue. And so you just see them in this like hermit crab convoy thing, which moves at about a snail's pace. And you just see like Sabine reclining on the chair, like feet up. It's, Ezra's just like, so what did I miss? Not much, just stuff. And how's Ahsoka doing? He's like, yeah. And I'm just
I
like,
couldn't look at those things without thinking about. I could look at those things without thinking about the Noki from Super Mario Sunshine. That's all
Yeah.
I could think of.
Yeah, but yeah, and then Ahsoka shows up, and they have another big battle, and the ship shows up, and then you see the ship floating above them at a snail's pace. It's like, where are you going? What are you doing? Like, it should have been like the moment after Sabine met up with Ezra, and Ezra should have gone to the little hermit crab person and gone, like, thanks, plea plug grop, whatever your name is. It's been
That sounded like the actual language they use. I don't think
probably
you're
yeah.
off.
I'm just making up random Star Wars names here, which is actually how most Star Wars names are made, by the way. Lucas just had a list of like words that he would put together.
I'd like to remind you there's a planet of fish people called Mon Calamari. Okay, we don't question the names in Star Wars.
Yeah, but it should be, hey, little guy, like it's thank you for being with me this time and welcome me into your village, but my friends are here and I got to go save them. Keep the little medallion I gave you, and and then they would have like gotten off on the dog horse. By the way, dog horse, awesome.
The Howlers, yes. I did like the Howlers.
Yeah, it's
and
like
that's not just because I'm a dog person.
Yeah, it's like the best two animals every girl loves mixed together. It's just more like fluffy and cuddly, but but yeah, like they should have been like, come on, we got to go. Like, oh, Ahsoka's here. We have a ship. Sweet, we're in the ship.
Get the hell out of here,
guys. But no, it's just we're just gonna like they don't need like they didn't even say we need to help them with the migration because predators will go after them. It was just like we're here for some reason, and I just kind of thought like you need to give me a reason for why the characters are doing this stuff instead of just wasting time so they can be late to leave in the final action scene. And then of course in the end Thrawn wins and gets away on time because they.
Yeah, I was gonna say the reason is Dave Filoni is creating his own version of Avengers Infinity War and Endgame with Star Wars characters, and he needs to move check pieces into these positions. That is literally the gist of what I got with the last.
I'm totally okay with Thrawn getting back to the galaxy because yes, it would be very boring if they stopped Thrawn from getting back to the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah, Vader's dead. Palpatine has not been cloned yet. Oh God, let's not go down that road again. We need an adversary. We need Thrawn.
Thrawn's a great choice.
We need our Thanos.
Yeah. So I didn't mind that, but the way they went about it was just like he wins, and then you have just Ahsoka and Sabine just like we're just hanging out on the planet again. Don't seem to be in any rush to do anything.
Yeah, it's like so you two are on a planet that is so far away from the Republic, from anything that the Republic knows, that Morgan Elsbeth needed a hyperspace ring that was almost the size of the Death Star.
Well, it was big enough to fit a Star Destroyer inside, which was cool.
Oh yeah, that was very cool. But still, just needed an engine that.
But anyway.
But yeah, still needed an engine that big to get across. It's like you don't have that. You clearly have limited supplies. Thrawn is going back to kill everyone and
reestablish the Empire.
And you're just setting up camp.
Yeah. I mean, if they just said like, well, what do we do now? It's like, well, we bide our time and we wait for the whales.
Yeah.
Not the greatest plan, but it's a plan.
Or say something like, hopefully Ezra connects with Hera.
Yeah.
And they can find a way to get the fleet out here.
Yeah, like there should have been just like Sabine sitting there, like shaking her head, like, damn it, what have I done? And Ahsoka has to sort of reassure her or say like, well, we can work on your training now because you figured out how to use the Force during the show. And it was just like the characters didn't really feel like they were reacting to the situation they were in. And I think that's where a lot of the sort of disconnect comes. Like think about like the end of Empire, right? Where
exactly we need that scene with Lando and Chewie saying, "Don't worry, we'll find Han." We need that.
Yeah, like it's a real downer ending, but there's still that frame of hope, and especially like I'm gonna go off here. Like when you look at the end of Last Jedi, where the Resistance has been like killed down to 12 people with no reinforcements, and they're all like partying on the Millennium Falcon, and it's like, you guys are in worse shape than the rebels were at the end of Empire, and you're happy. And the rebels were like, like we survived, but holy smokes, did we get our asses kicked? And yeah, like it's like you felt something at the end of Empire because it was a very natural emotional response to that situation, and I'm not getting that from most of what's happening here. Thrawn I get because he's sort of cool and collected. He doesn't have many emotional outbursts. But
We need that mid-credit scene from Infinity War where we see the pager with Captain Marvel's logo on it. We realize Fury just called for the frickin' cavalry. We need something to go on because like I said, this show just suffers so horribly from misdirection and lack of focus on what is important. Is the main focus stopping Thrawn, or is the main focus getting Ezra? And then again, that's why I also call this more Rebel season 5, because frankly, Ahsoka is kind of a bit player in her own series.
yeah, I felt like Sabine was more of a main character than Ahsoka in most of this. I mean, she did have like her own little thing about, meeting Anakin in the, Force Ascendant plane or whatever it is. And
I think that's called the world between. Oh God, forget.
Yeah.
We're going Spielberg here, folks, but I think it's called the world between worlds.
Okay, yeah, she meets Anakin in the world between worlds, and hey, nice to see Hayden Christensen getting to do something.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Hayden Christensen. Hayden Christensen's done a way better job as Anakin Skywalker in this and Obi-Wan than he ever did in the prequel movies.
It's kind of fun to see these actors kind of let off the chain a bit to kind of have fun with these roles and what they're doing with it.
Well, also have a script that doesn't require them to say something that they're, through gritted teeth going, no one talks like this.
Yeah, I don't like sand. Yeah. But she had a bit of an arc, but
I just love that line will not haunt Hayden Christensen. It haunts George Lucas. It was not Hayden Christensen's fault that line was stupid. It was Lucas's fault that line.
Yeah,
was
I hope Hayden Christensen has fun with it.
Mm-hmm. I could just imagine fans bringing him like bottles of sand or something.
Yeah, it's like I remember seeing like video of like President Obama, like after he was was no longer president. He's like in a bar, he's like getting his drink, and then he like slips and spills it, and he just goes, "Thanks, Obama."
Okay, that's funny.
Like whatever you say of the man, he took that one on the chin, and good on him for that.
Mm-hmm.
But
and that actually does bring us to one of the better things in this, and that is definitely episode 5. We have Ahsoka, who has lost her battle with Balin and thrown off of a cliff, and we assume dead. And she wakes up in the world between worlds with Anakin, and it's essentially the crossroads of make the right choice, or you live or you die. And we have her going through memories of her time in the Clone Wars. Side note, young Ahsoka is played by Ariana Greenblatt, who among other roles played young Gamora in Infinity War. So it's like she's either got orange paint, green paint, or we see her in a Barbie car, because she was in the new Barbie movie.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen that one.
You're the only one.
Yeah, I'm not exactly in the target demographic, but I'd be curious to see it.
You should see it when it comes out on streaming.
Yeah. I'll definitely. It'll be near the top of my streaming queue.
But yeah, one of the battles you mentioned where Anakin does lay into her is one of the memories she goes through, and she sees it in a new perspective now that she's gone through all this, and she's like, I led all these troops into, death. And can I just say, even though if you've seen the Clone Wars series 1,000 times, it's a lot more surreal to see a live action child instead of a CGI character who you're told is a teenager. No, Ariana Greenblatt is a child, and being told that child just led all these people to their death. It's weird.
Yeah, she's a child soldier, and in a position of authority, which is even more frightening in some ways.
Oh, absolutely. But that episode is absolutely the best. We have Ahsoka and Anakin.
It's probably got some of the most character development, maybe other than I think there was an episode just before that where it's more Ahsoka and Sabine kind of hashing out their relationship as master and apprentice. That one had a bit of meat on it too. Those are kind of the two big emotional things. Is Ahsoka sort of coming to terms with Anakin and like who she is as a Jedi, and then her and her relationship with Sabine from both their ends.
Mhm.
I think that was like the most character growth I could say during the film, because I think pretty much all the other characters are just kind of there doing their thing.
But the thing I liked about it is that the bit between Ahsoka and Anakin is finally something that you can understand without having seen Clone Wars or Rebels.
Hmm.
You if you we all know who Anakin Skywalker is and what he becomes. And Ahsoka lives with this, I don't want to call it fear,
Hmm.
but this dread. Because everyone talks about how they always end up so similar to their masters.
Hmm.
And even though she has done so much to do good, there's still that looming dread in the back of her head that says, what if I really am just like Anakin and I'm on the same path?
Hmm.
And that episode was so good to see her confront that, especially the bit where Anakin suddenly turns well, his eyes turn color and his skin gets
Yeah,
all
he gets his like Sith eyes, and
yeah.
yeah,
And as he's walking on that platform, it's almost like a hologram switching between him and Vader.
yeah, yeah. Well, that effect was really cool.
Oh, absolutely. I loved it. But yeah, in my opinion, that was the best episode of the whole series. And I really love because again, I think that was one of the few that you could watch it and even not knowing anything about Ahsoka's character prior, not knowing anything about Star Wars Rebels, you identify and
Mhm.
you know what she's going through.
Yeah, like I think you probably get a bit more out of the show by having prior knowledge of who these characters are, who Thrawn is. But I think there's still mostly enough there that you could put the pieces together and get through it for the most part. Yeah, especially in that episode,
Hmm.
that fills in a lot of the like who is Ahsoka Tano. But yeah, there's some decent stuff in it. I just think that the pacing was a bit slow. Like it took them a long time to get to the end, and then it was just kind of like, well, Thrawn's back. Um,
You
yeah,
think we could act a little bit more scared?
yeah, yeah. It's kind of weird because it seems like Star Wars fans want two things. They want like to watch people filing their taxes, a la Andor, or they just want Luke Skywalker to show up with a lightsaber and kill everything.
A la the end of Mandalorian season
Yeah,
2.
yeah. Where it's yeah, I kind of want. Can we get something just like fun space adventure, maybe with a bit of like character development and themes?
Can we get some fun space adventures that doesn't rely on you having seen like, 500 episodes of various other TV shows and read 2 books?
Mhm. Yeah, you don't quite have to have to know that much, I think, but yeah,
You get what
it's
I'm saying.
yeah, I get what you're saying, and I have seen it done well. Like, I don't mind fan service if it's done in a way that enriches the story.
Yeah, like I said, the
I
came in with the 3PO, pure fan service, and we
Yeah,
loved it.
yeah, well, yeah, and they kind of didn't have Princess Leia, so like, yeah, we need someone to come for Leia. Oh well, may
Rest
as well
in
be.
peace, Carrie. You are
Yes.
missed.
Yep. But like, yeah, if you listen to like our review of Star Trek Picard season 3, like there's a lot of fan service in that season, but a lot of it is used as part of the story. It's not just, hey, here's this thing from that episode you remember. It's usually like, oh, okay, like yeah, I see how everything's kind of fitting together to actually make the story work.
Hmm.
But yeah, for more on that, listen to our review.
More plugs.
Yeah.
All right, so here's another question for you. Like we mentioned,
Yep.
Ray Stevenson, sadly, this was his last role. He died. Balin's Skull was an incredible character. Stevenson played him so brilliantly. There's
Mhm.
so many scenes where he just goes off and monologues to himself or to Shin, his
Mhm.
apprentice, but he does it so well. It's very similar to what was the character's name? Um, Guy who
Just
played Salieri in Amadeus, whose name I am completely escaping on.
oh yeah, I can't help you there. Sorry.
It's okay. There's an episode of Cabinet of Curiosities that we also reviewed where he plays a coroner who is doing all of this work, but he's spending most of the episode talking into a tape recorder about his findings, but he does it so well. It's like with the wrong actor, things like that, where they're just monologuing and just discussing their thoughts gets so dull, so boring, so fast.
Mhm.
But with Ray Stevenson with that in this role, it's like, no, I want to listen to it. There's a great bit where Shin asks him, it's like, do you actually miss the Jedi Temple? Because it's established he
Mhm.
was formally trained before he left. And it's like, I miss parts of it. I
Yeah.
miss the order. It's
Mhm.
like, and it's fascinating the way Stevenson delivers his lines.
Yeah, well, probably his best line of the show is when they're just about to leave, and maybe it's just before that, where yeah, Morgan's saying, like, well, Ahsoka Tano is coming after us. You'll have to kill her, and he just says, "What a pity. There are so few Jedi left." And she's like, "Oh, I didn't expect you to be the sentimental type." It's like, it's not sentiment; it's just the truth.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It gives it, like, in that moment he becomes more than a mustache twirling villain or a heavy. You see that there's something more to this character and his history, and yeah, sort of how he relates to the Jedi and the galaxy.
Absolutely. So,
A Sith would never have said that.
do we just forget Balin's skull exists, or do we recast for season 2?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's either forget, recast, or use CG resurrection, which people don't seem
Please
to be
God,
too
no.
fond of. So I would assume recasting would be the best option. Sort of my issue with Balin is they never really get you what he's doing. He's just like, I'm searching for something. He's like, okay, what? Something. It's like, all right. And even at the end, he's just like, okay, you're standing on an Argonath. Okay, cool, but that doesn't tell me anything. Like,
He discusses how history repeats itself
Mhm.
over and over again, and he wants to essentially break that wheel.
yeah,
He says it's like the Empire takes control, the rebels squash it, the New Republic comes in,
they're incredibly
lather,
incompetent.
rinse,
Yeah.
repeat. And he wants to stop that from happening, but we're never really but again, I think that's part of the mystery of his character is, even he doesn't know how to do it yet.
Yeah, I think if they had him explain a bit more what his plan was, or like instead of just standing on a big statue, if there was like some sort of ancient Jedi temple-y looking thing that was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. What's this do? Then, yeah, like I think that could have really helped out. But anyway, whatever the reason, they decided that we're gonna save those reveals for the next season, which, like, a good show, like it'll answer the questions, but then give you more questions. Like to sort of keep the momentum going in the story. Whereas this is just like, well, he's still doing his thing. Okay. But yeah, I think probably their best option is recasting if they're going to keep the character.
I agree. They build up so much mystery with what he's looking for. I mean, part of me understands that and for the record, I have no ideas on who I would choose to recast. I got nothing.
Yeah.
But I feel that if they just wrote the character out or said on the side, like he's still somewhere, like, I don't know, maybe we start off season 2 with them escaping the planet and they're like, Balin's skull's still out there, and they go, let him search for whatever he's looking for. He's, no threat to us out here. And then they take off or something.
Yeah, maybe the plan was he would get his own spin-off show. I don't know.
Who knows? I agree, though. I think it would be a waste to not recast and to just essentially go theatrical cut Christopher Lee. Honest, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Another Lord of the Rings reference. We're really breaking in a lot of those.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of overlap.
There is.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have wrestling references, so I'm not very good on this channel.
You think I have those?
I was going to assume.
All right. So, yeah, we got nothing so far on a sequel or second season being announced or anything. Like I said, Dave Filoni is planning this massive collision of everything that they have created with Disney Plus. Again, this man knows how to write these branching storylines and direct this so much better than Kathleen Kennedy ever did.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, there's branches of Star Wars fandom on the internet that are incredibly fickle. Like, it's amazing how Dave Filoni is the savior of Star Wars, and then, oh, I didn't like Ahsoka, he's a fraud. It's like, maybe just like the show, just, like, sometimes bad movies happen to good directors, to quote Roger Ebert.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't call the show bad. It was just kind of like, it's Yeah, it's okay. Again, the hardest thing to review is something that's okay. Something terrible is easy. You can just hate on it.
Yeah, roast it over an open fire and have fun with it while it kicks and
Yeah.
screams. And also, as we have not seen most of Clone Wars and we haven't watched Star Wars Rebels, it's clear that while we are Star Wars fans, I don't think
Mhm.
we were the true target audience for this.
Yeah.
In the end, I think we could have been, it would have been fine if we had not watched this and simply been told Thrawn is back and Ahsoka is stranded on a planet
Mhm.
billions of light years away. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know how distance works with the whole hyperspace thing in Star Wars.
Yeah. I think it moves at the speed of plot.
Yeah. How many parsecs did it take for the Millennium
Oh,
Falcon?
jeez. Yeah. Yeah. It was just a line. Harrison Ford sent something spacey sounding because they were in space. They didn't like consult like the physicists at Harvard to make sure that all their space physics were right.
And yet
Yeah.
we had to have a huge subplot in the Solo movie to explain why that line worked, and it wasn't just it wasn't just a case of maybe you could have joked that Han Solo misspoke or said the wrong word or he was drunk, he'd had too many drinks,
or just ignore it. That's
Yeah.
what I would have done. Just like
ignore it. Star Wars fans can't ignore that. You know that.
oh, it's just like how Corellians don't believe in statistics because Han Solo says never tell me the odds.
That was supposed to be what Anthony Daniels wanted his biography to be called, Telling the Odds.
Telling the odds. Okay,
Yeah,
that makes
he
sense.
said he wanted that, and the publisher said not enough people would get it.
Yeah. Well, credit for him at least doing an in joke, but
I still remember because it was at a Star Wars Celebration right before they showed the Rise of Skywalker trailer, and he said, "I'm going to tell you guys what the title." He said he couldn't tell them what the title of his memoir was, but he said he wanted to tell them the title that he wanted that the publishers didn't. He's like, just tell me if you guys get this.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone went nuts. Sealy gets blown off, and he's got a look on his face like, "See, I knew they'd get it. I was right."
Yep. Yeah, the audience I'm targeting would have gone for that, but
exactly.
Yeah.
So, as far as Ahsoka goes, again, we're not sure if we can really give this our seal of approval or our seal of meh.
I'd say it's kind of meh. It's okay.
Seal of meh.
Yeah, like if you're into the whole Filoni verse, Clone Wars, Rebels, you'll probably get a kick of seeing these characters in live action, and maybe it'll like pay off some stuff from the show. If you're just like a Star Wars fan like us, who's your Star Wars,
or more interested in Mandalorian and stuff.
But yeah, you just haven't gotten around to Clone Wars and Rebels. I mean, it's an okay Star Wars story. The action scenes are decent. I want to know what those pods are made of that those hermit crab people go in, because that stuff is like better than Beskar.
Okay, I'll admit the little Noki, and I'm calling them the Noki because I've played Super Mario Sunshine too many times. Coming out with the slingshot and it just pings off of the hermit's head, and Sabine goes, "Okay, cute. Do they have any real weapons?" That scene actually did make me laugh pretty hard.
The one instance where a stormtrooper helmet is actually effective in Star Wars.
Who knew? But yeah, just that little scene of just like, that's a slingshot, because he pulls out the slingshot and you actually think, is that like an like the whole thing with Usopp from
it's like
but it just pings off of his head, and it's like, well, that was useless.
Yeah, we have like indestructible anti-gravity powered vehicles, but we're still using slingshots. Okay.
Maybe Bart Simpson had a point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to go all Mr. Wizard here. It's just it's kind of
late.
Funny. Yeah.
All right. So, but yes, if you are a fan of the Clone Wars series, if you're a fan of Star Wars Rebels, obviously you're probably going to love this. For the most part, I am just interested to see, again, now that Filoni has moved these characters into this place on the chessboard, what is the next move? I need to actually...
it's a lot more like a housekeeping show, and then hopefully we kind of get the payoff in whatever he does next.
Yeah, I don't see any announcements on what the next series coming up is, or if this is going to tie in at all to the next season of The Mandalorian. There's no announcement actually on what Star Wars is doing next. I can't believe I'm saying, but for the first time ever, I do not see. Oh yeah, okay. So we got the Skeleton Crew
Yeah.
and the Acolyte.
Yeah, which I think those are both Kathleen Kennedy helmed projects. So
Yeah, and the
not
next
not
season
all,
of Andor, of course.
yeah,
But
and we
that's its
get one
own
more
separate
season of
thing.
Andor. Yeah, I don't think Andor doesn't really apply in just based
Well,
on the
Andor's
timing.
technically set in the past, so
Yes, yeah. Cassian Andor is scattered across space at this point.
hmm
Spoiler alert.
Okay, so we got those two shows, but it doesn't look like those are really going to be connected to the Dave Filoni universe.
Yeah, I almost wonder if they're just waiting to see how good or bad Ahsoka would do, and then based on the ratings, go from there.
Yeah,
Like I don't really play the whole Star Wars is dead game, or because I don't know what the numbers are and how to analyze them from this stuff. But I would say it's been a bit rocky for Star Wars since Disney took over. There have been some highs and some lows, some very lows. But so yeah, I think they might just be going, especially after the year they've had. Whew.
so
Yeah,
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 you want
yeah.
to you want to segue this conversation for another hour. Let's go talk Disney stock.
No, that's more of Mark's thing. But yeah,
Mark,
like,
Robert,
again,
and I talk about that enough.
yeah, again, not an expert, but yeah, it seems like there's been a lot of films not making a lot of money that cost a lot of money coming out this year. Again, I don't know all the intricacies of Disney Corporation, how it runs everything and where all the money goes in and out, but yeah, just looking at the theatrical releases, it's not been a great year for Disney. So yeah, maybe they're just going, Dave will just, here's your big check to do your live action Rebels show, and if that gets us enough views, then we'll give you more money to do the next thing, but we'll just have to wait and see.
At this point, they better pray that the Marvels and Wish brings them in some decent revenue, or at this point, I'm waiting for them to burn down Disney World, blame it on DeSantis followers, and just check it and just get the insurance check.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if to speculate, I think Wish could do all right. It seems to be pretty unoffensive and kind of more classic Disney-esque. That could do good. The Marvels, I'm the least optimistic that I've been for anything Marvel. I mean,
you would think by now they would be and I've been talking about this for a while, is that Disney has gutted their marketing department series. Most of the studios have. Marvel's comes out in just a little bit over a month, I believe, and we've gotten a couple of trailers, but by now we should see TV segments. We should see pictures of the characters on billboards. We should be seeing side ads online. We should be seeing toy commercials. They should be throwing everything at this. And I keep getting worried that it's gonna be a repeat of Strange World, where it was literally, oh, there's a Disney movie coming out this weekend? Who knew?
Yeah, well, the Strange World trailer was just like a 1930s real, like, Strange World, and it's like okay, it doesn't actually tell me anything.
Coming to a theater, there you exactly.
Yeah, it's like I mean, you guys talked to death about that film anyway, but that would have been my 2 cents. Was just like the ad campaign for that was just horrible. Like, it was not going to get anyone into theaters. But yeah, for the Marvels, it's just like I watched the trailers and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I followed some of this stuff, but yeah, it's like, who are these characters? I think a lot of people are going to be asking, what the heck is going on? Like, they have like this sort of gimmick of, I guess, when they use their powers, they switch places. And it's like, is that really what people were looking for in a Captain Marvel sequel? I mean, my personal theory is she would just be like flying back to Kree and like battling with the Supreme AI, whatever it was called. And that would sort of tie into how the Kree Empire is in a different political state for Guardians. And that would be like if I were tasked with doing a Captain Marvel sequel, the story I would tell. But anyway, I digress.
I am excited to see Miss Marvel. And have they confirmed if the other character's going by Polaris or Spectrum? Or that character's had like 20 names in the comic books.
Yeah, I don't know if she was in Miss Marvel at all, but
she wasn't.
No, I think she was in WandaVision. I think that was
that's when she got her powers.
Yeah, and she didn't have any superhero name, so maybe we'll find out in the Marvels. But I mean, maybe there'll be still enough goodwill from like the first Captain Marvel movie that was a hit, and like maybe the girl power demographic thing will rally around it and prove the internet wrong. But like, I don't know. It's kind of like the whole like Avatar situation where it's like, oh man, who cares about Avatar? Turns out everybody and their dog and their cat. Yeah, like it's just in our is the target audience just in the internet's blind spot or what? But anyway, so yeah, but this is the one where I'm like, yeah, this might be the first legitimate bomb from Marvel, but we'll see.
Possibly. I mean, we did sit through Secret Invasion, and
Yeah,
God, that was pointless.
yeah, I don't think I've seen any positive reviews from anyone on that one. I didn't watch it. I've kind of fallen off the Marvel TV.
Yeah, we reviewed it, and aside from a handful of jokes about the various scroll characters, there we agreed it was like we essentially walked away going, so that impacted the overarching story arc. How?
Yeah, and why on earth did they ever decide to like Nick Fury was going to be the guy to find them a new home? He's a spy master on a planet with like a millennia of less advanced technology than them. You guys have a spaceship. There you go. Like, hey, I talked to NASA. Here's everything we got.
No, say what you will about Ahsoka, but at least yeah, it's like say what you will about Ahsoka, but at least now we have Thrawn back, so at least we do have some development.
And I think it was hinted in the Mandalorian season 3 that he was already back.
Oh yeah, with the chick with the bad haircut, essentially frying the one dude's head.
You're gonna have to be a bit more specific than that. Well, I was thinking more like when Moff Gideon's doing his big like holographic council scene. You have one of them is Captain Peon, I think he's called. And if you know Heir to the Empire, that is the captain of the Star Destroyer that Thrawn is in, because admirals don't actually captain ships; they captain fleets. Captains captain ships.
Thank you for the naval lesson.
Yeah, it's a detail. I mean, Star Trek totally screws that up, but I digress. But that and he was like, Grand Admiral Thrawn has returned. So I'm thinking that continuity wise, that Ahsoka takes place during or slightly before Mandalorian season 3. So yeah, season 4 we could be facing Admiral Thrawn. Though I kind of just want Mandalorian to be just more Din and Grogu. And bounty hunting around the galaxy.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Anyway, we've gotten very off topic now, so I think that's kind of a sign that we're spent.
We're Star Wars nerds. That's what we do.
Yeah.
All right. So, like I said, if you're a fan of the Filoni created universe, go check out Ahsoka. If you're on the fence about it, we at this moment can't really give it our, go check it out, you'll love it. If you want to go check it out, go check it out. If you want to skip it, skip it. We're giving it a seal of meh.
Yeah, it's okay. At least, yeah.
I will say the actors, with the exception of the actress playing Sabine, I thought the rest of the actors did a good job. Rosario Dawson. Yeah, I think Rosario Dawson was great as Ahsoka. We've jabbered on enough about Ray Stevenson's bit.
Yeah, David Tennant.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
So again, we're just gonna at this point we just have to sit back and wait for the announcement on what Dave Filoni is doing next.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I do kind of hope that he gets to do one more thing at least to wrap it up if that's where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Like just do his one movie. It could be a Disney Plus exclusive or a theatrical. Just like Thrawn versus everyone, and then
Ahsoka and Boba Fett and Din Djarin and
that would be I'd be okay with that. Then I'd be like, I'm happy. I'm good. Like if there's no more Star Wars after this for a while, like I'm satisfied.
I am perfectly fine watching the original trilogy, and I have the prequel trilogy with Riff Tracks commentary, and it never gets old.
Yeah.
Any other ethnic slurs you want to throw in there, Lucas?
Scruffy-looking nerf herder.
Well, actually, they were joking about. Oh my god, I can't think of his name. The weird alien that owns Anakin in Phantom Menace.
Oh, Watto. Yeah.
Watto. Yeah, they were talking about. It's like whatever accent he's doing, it is clearly meant to be extremely
Ethnic.
distasteful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I could do a nice Greek or, maybe a Jew, what you go for? It's like, wow, Lucas, what were you thinking with that character? What were you thinking with that whole movie? All right. Yeah, we are getting off track here. I think it's time to wrap things up.
Yep.
David, when will you be gracing the screen again?
Okay, I think my next is October 24th. Mark and I are doing Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2. So, yeah, look forward to that. And I think that's about all I have on the hard schedule for the rest of the year since they moved Dune. But
we did just have you again. You did Good Omens this week. Last
Yep.
week we had you on for One Piece. So if you
Yep.
want to hear mine and David's melodic voices even more, go check out previous live videos on W2M on YouTube.
you sadists or masochists. Yep.
Yeah, it's like if you
Either
actually want to listen to us, I don't know what's wrong with you if you want to listen to us.
But thanks. Yeah.
Appreciated. All right. I will be going in again for another TV party tonight to discuss Murders Only in the Building with Mark. We've talked the last 2 seasons. We're going to be discussing that at the end of the month. Looking forward to it. I believe I will also be returning to Damn You Hollywood around that time to discuss the Five Nights at Freddy's film. I am genuinely looking forward to this. This is the latest trailer has a guy screaming on the floor being attacked by a robotic cupcake. I mean, I'm sold. I am already
I would
sold.
not have figured that out from Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh, well, they surprised me. Good on you.
Very good. Gonna have fun talking about that. Other than that, we are looking at doing reviews of Gen V, and of course, Loki season 2 just started up. We will be discussing that in a few weeks when we find out just how much OB is going to have as part of the plot, and who was it that got to beam Loki behind his back in the first episode of season 2.
I haven't been watching, so if you're looking for a reaction, I don't have one. Sorry.
Of course, I'm expecting a reaction out of you. You're the one with the. Wait a minute, where's the.
Yeah, I've got the catchphrase.
Yeah.
So, Loki.
Mark actually made you into a catchphrase.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a testament to me or just how often people get off track on these shows.
Yeah. If you've ever heard how much Jesse has to edit out when he and I record together, we get off on major tangents. All right. So other than that, as far as the bill or the plugs that actually do pay my bills, Honeysuckle Rose Creations or Fashion Meets Fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We have one more convention this year. That is here in my hometown of Kansas City. That is Planet Anime. Those of you who are familiar with the Kansas City Staple Planet Comic Con, the guys who run it have decided to do a little schism, and they are launching a new anime show. This is from the same guys again who run Planet Comic Con. They have got a huge collection of voice actors come in, especially cast from Dragon Ball Z, Demon Slayer, Naruto, and several video games. I am really excited. That is going to be the weekend of October 20th through the 22nd. And then, oh dear God, help me. It's time to get ready for the holidays and our Black Friday sales. And even though it's a little early to promote it, I will go ahead and mention for those who are interested in stopping by during the holidays, any order that is placed through either our Etsy store or Handmade at Amazon store, for every order, we take $5 and that will be donated at the end of the year to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. We do that charity drive every year. So if you're looking for fun, geek-themed accessories, go ahead and check out our shop over the holidays. Not only will you be finding a wonderful, one-of-a-kind gift for your loved ones, but you'll also be helping those in need. Again, you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I refuse to call it X, and we are now on TikTok. Again, that's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic. So myself, for David, for the rest of the Rattleage Broadcasting Network, be well, behave, be safe. May the Force be with you.